There are certain moments in football when people become convinced they've just seen the final chapter of a legend's career. Moments when the headlines get louder, the criticism keeps coming from every direction, and the questions become impossible to avoid. For Cristiano Ronaldo, the start of the 2026 FIFA World Cup felt exactly like one of those moments. After Portugal's frustrating draw against DR Congo, the reaction from fans and pundits seemed almost identical everywhere. He's finished. He's too old. He's 41 years old. He plays in Saudi Arabia. Portugal is better without him. Look at Messi. Look at the new generation. For days, those comments followed Ronaldo non-stop across television shows, social media platforms, newspapers, podcasts, and every football discussion you could find. And to be fair, not all of the criticism came out of nowhere. Against DR Congo, Ronaldo appeared frustrated. He seemed disconnected from the game at times. He looked slightly slower than the dominant force who once ruled European football. Portugal struggled to find their rhythm going forward, and the attack never really clicked. For a tough 90 minutes, the captain looked human, something football fans rarely associated with him for most of his career. But there's one thing many people still fail to understand about Cristiano Ronaldo. Criticism doesn't break him. It never has. If anything, it often creates an even more dangerous version of him. Throughout his entire career, Ronaldo has used doubt as motivation. The more people question him, the stronger his response tends to be. That mindset is why he has lasted through different eras, overcome countless challenges, faced every comparison imaginable, and competed against multiple generations of stars. From Manchester to Madrid, from Turin to Riyadh, and now onto the World Cup stage, he keeps finding a way to answer the noise. While many players try to block out criticism, Ronaldo seems to take it in and use it. He carries those doubts with him and waits for the biggest moments to respond. Call it confidence, call it obsession, call it relentless determination. Whatever name you give it, that mentality is a huge reason he became one of the greatest footballers the sport has ever seen. And deep down, everybody probably knew what was about to happen next. Cristiano Ronaldo has been following the same script for more than 20 years. People doubt him, question him, write him off, and then he comes back with an answer. Time after time, season after season, he keeps doing it. So when Portugal stepped onto the pitch against Uzbekistan in their second group stage match, the feeling around the team was completely different. The pressure was massive. Portugal needed to bounce back. Roberto Martinez needed a strong performance. But more than anyone, Cristiano Ronaldo needed a statement. As he walked out of the tunnel, there was something very familiar about the way he carried himself. The posture, the confidence, the expression on his face, his head up high and his shoulders back. It was that same look that seemed to say, just wait. The critics saw a 41-year-old player nearing the end of his career. Ronaldo saw a chance to prove a point. And just 6 minutes later, the whole football world saw the difference. The attack started down the right flank. João Cancelo pushed forward with purpose. Portugal's shirts rushed into the box. Most players moved toward the obvious area of danger, except for one man, Cristiano Ronaldo. Watch the goal closely. Not just the finish, but the movement before it, because that movement explains why he is still playing at the highest level, why he is still finding goals, and why defenders still keep a close eye on him. While everyone else attacked the visible space, Ronaldo targeted the hidden gap, the area nobody else seemed to recognize, the kind of space elite goal scorers spot before anyone else does. As Cancelo raced toward the byline, Ronaldo wasn't standing around. He wasn't waiting for luck. He wasn't simply hoping the ball would arrive. He was reading the situation and making calculations. One step, then another. A slight move toward the near post, followed by another adjustment and another. Small details, small movements, but those little actions created exactly the separation he needed. In an instant, the defenders were forced to react, but Ronaldo was already one step ahead. The cross came in low and bouncing, dangerous and difficult to deal with. The type of delivery that punishes even the slightest hesitation. But hesitation has never been part of Ronaldo's game. He connected with it on the half volley, leaning back as he struck through the ball with total confidence, and seconds later, it flew into the bottom corner. Goal, 1-0 Portugal. Another huge moment in his legendary career. The stadium exploded with noise. His teammates rushed to celebrate. Millions of fans around the world erupted with excitement. But Ronaldo wasn't smiling. That's what made the scene feel so powerful. This wasn't about relief or pure celebration. It felt like a response. There was no laughing, no playful reaction, just that famous Ronaldo stare. The look of a player who had heard every criticism from the previous week, every social media comment, every television debate, and every doubt aimed in his direction. The message seemed impossible to miss. Finished? Who said I was finished? And just like that, the conversation changed. Football moves fast. One week, people question everything about you, and the next week, they're talking about your comeback. A single goal can flip the entire narrative, and few players understand that better than Cristiano Ronaldo. The criticism that had surrounded him suddenly felt quieter and far less important, because the strongest response in football always comes on the field, and Ronaldo had delivered his answer after only 6 minutes. But he wasn't done yet. Not even close. When Ronaldo gains confidence, when momentum starts building, and when the game begins to open up, big moments often follow. About 30 minutes later, another one arrived. Portugal were growing into the match with more control. Uzbekistan were finding it harder and harder to contain them. The midfield had settled into a strong rhythm. The attack was flowing smoothly, and then the opportunity appeared. Bruno Fernandes lifted his head and spotted the run. One quick look, one perfectly weighted pass, and suddenly, Ronaldo was racing through on goal. The timing was impeccable. The movement was sharp. The finish was clinical. With a delicate touch, calm and composed, he guided the ball beyond the goalkeeper and into the net. 2-0 Portugal. Another goal, another record, another reminder of who Cristiano Ronaldo is. At this point, he wasn't just getting through the World Cup or hanging on for one more tournament. He was starting to take control of it, and with that second goal, the entire discussion shifted. The same voices that questioned him after the opening match were now watching the first footballer ever to score in 6 different World Cups. 6 World Cups. Take a moment to think about that. Entire generations of players have appeared and disappeared from the game. Careers have begun, peaked, and ended. Yet Ronaldo is still here, still scoring goals, still competing at the highest level, still making history, and still refusing to step away from the spotlight. That's part of what makes his story so remarkable, because by normal football standards, this shouldn't still be happening. Football usually follows a different script. Age is expected to catch up with everyone. Time is supposed to be undefeated. Sooner or later, every athlete slows down. Every legend eventually sees their era come to an end. But somehow, Cristiano Ronaldo continues to push that moment further away. He keeps writing new chapters, finding new goals, creating new records, and giving people fresh reasons to talk about him. As the first half moved toward the break, a familiar feeling started spreading among football fans, especially Portugal supporters. It was that growing sense that maybe their captain still had plenty left to give. Maybe this story was far from over. Maybe the doubts had arrived far too early. By the start of the second half, the biggest question was no longer whether Portugal would win. That already seemed clear. The real question was much larger and far more exciting. Was this the night Cristiano Ronaldo officially announced himself as a major force at the 2026 World Cup? Everyone watching could feel the shift. The atmosphere was different. The confidence was back. The pressure hanging over Portugal after the draw against DR Congo was beginning to fade away. The tension in the match was slowly disappearing, and right at the heart of it stood a 41-year-old captain who looked like he was on a mission to remind the football world exactly who he is. But for Cristiano Ronaldo, 2 goals have never been enough. They've never satisfied him. That non-stop hunger is what sets him apart from almost every player who has ever stepped onto a football pitch. Most players would dream just to score once at a World Cup. Ronaldo, on the other hand, was already irritated that he hadn't scored 3. Just minutes after his second goal, he came close to completing a hat-trick. The chance looked tight, almost impossible. The finish felt inevitable. The crowd began to rise in anticipation. But then Uzbekistan defender Abdulkadir Kusanov got involved. Score to 4-0. João Felix was already moving in to celebrate, taking most of the congratulations, and there was debate in real time about who actually got the final touch. For a brief moment, Ronaldo paused. Then that familiar reaction showed up again. The frustration, the disappointment, the refusal to settle for anything less than perfection. Because that's Cristiano Ronaldo in every era, never fully satisfied with success, always chasing more goals, more records, more history, more greatness. And that mindset has never faded. Not at 25, not at 35, and certainly not now at 41. The second half kept flowing in Portugal's favour. They were in full control. Bruno Fernandes was dictating the rhythm of the game. Nuno Mendes kept breaking lines and troubling defenders. Diogo Jota was constantly pushing forward with energy and intent. And through it all, Ronaldo remained the focal point. Every time the ball entered the box, defenders instinctively turned toward him. Every supporter expected something to happen the moment he got near it, because even after all these years, he still carries that aura, that sense that one touch can change everything instantly. One chance, one moment, one finish, and suddenly the entire match shifts in his favour. Portugal's dominance kept building until it became overwhelming. Nuno Mendes had already shocked everyone earlier in the match with a clever, well-worked free-kick routine. An own goal added even more pain for Uzbekistan, piling on the pressure and the embarrassment. Then Rafael Leão stepped in to finish the job completely. 5 goals in total, a 5-0 win, a full statement performance from Portugal. But even with all the goals scattered across the pitch, everyone knew exactly who the real headline belonged to. Cristiano Ronaldo, the captain, the record breaker, the man who spent an entire week hearing criticism only to answer it in the most ruthless way possible. And then came the moment that defined everything. The moment that spread instantly across the football world. The moment that turned into the main headline everywhere. After the final whistle, as Ronaldo walked toward the cameras, the emotions came pouring out. This wasn't the calm, controlled superstar the world had grown used to seeing over the years. This was raw emotion. This was personal. This was Cristiano Ronaldo speaking directly to every single doubter who had questioned him. He locked eyes with the camera, staring straight through the lens as if addressing every critic face to face, and shouted, "I'm back! I'm back!" Not once, not casually, but twice with force. 3 simple words, yet they carried over 2 decades of pressure, expectation, criticism, comebacks, and constant battles to prove himself again and again. It wasn't just celebration. It felt like a statement, almost like a warning, a reminder carved into the moment itself. In Ronaldo's mind, he had never left. The world might have doubted him or written narratives around him, but he believed he was always there, always ready. And now he was making sure nobody forgot that again. Later, when reporters asked him about those powerful words, his response explained everything. He smiled slightly and said, "Only so they don't forget." A simple line, but loaded with meaning. That's exactly the essence of Cristiano Ronaldo. He keeps track of everything, every insult, every comparison, every headline, every doubt, and turns it into fuel that keeps him going even after more than 20 years at the top of the game. While many players would have been broken by the criticism after Portugal's opening match, Ronaldo transformed it into pure motivation and used it to answer in the loudest way possible. And maybe that's exactly why Cristiano Ronaldo has lasted so long at the top of the game. Not because he's some kind of myth or something beyond human limits, but because mentally, he simply refuses to give in. The toughest opponents he has ever faced were never defenders on the pitch. They were time itself, age creeping closer, constant expectations, and the idea of becoming irrelevant. Most players eventually lose those battles without even realizing it. Ronaldo, however, keeps stepping into that fight every single day. And after this match, even former rivals couldn't ignore what they had just seen. Wayne Rooney, a former teammate who understands Ronaldo better than most, put it simply, this is what Ronaldo does. Criticism comes in, and then a response follows right after. That pattern has repeated itself throughout his entire career, and somehow it still hasn't stopped. Roy Keane took it even further, saying, Cristiano Ronaldo was never gone. And maybe that reflects the truth more than anything else. Maybe football didn't change Ronaldo at all. Maybe football just got distracted. Distracted by younger stars, new names, fresh storylines, and shifting attention elsewhere. Meanwhile, Ronaldo kept going. He kept training, kept pushing, kept believing that another moment would come. And when that moment arrived, he didn't hesitate. He took it immediately. What makes all of this even more incredible is the scale of it. This is his 6th World Cup. 6 appearances on football's biggest stage, a number that almost feels unreal. Entire eras of football have passed during his international journey. Players competing in this tournament grew up watching him dominate highlights. Some were just kids when he made his first World Cup appearance back in 2006. Yet here he is again, still scoring, still leading, still driving Portugal forward, still carrying a nation's expectations at an age when most players have long since retired and moved on. And maybe that's exactly why this story hits far beyond Portugal's borders. Because deep down, people aren't just watching a footballer anymore. They're watching a human being push against limits, push against expectations, and even push against time itself. Every goal feels heavier, more intense, because everyone understands how unlikely it should be at this stage of his career. Every success feels more powerful because so many expected it to end in failure, and every celebration carries more emotion because nobody truly knows how many moments like this are left. That uncertainty changes everything and makes each second feel amplified. Every match could be the last iconic Ronaldo performance. Every goal could be the final masterpiece. Every tournament could be the closing chapter of an era. And that's exactly why nights like this matter so much. They remind people not to take greatness for granted. One day, Cristiano Ronaldo will play his final game. One day, there will be no more goals, no more celebrations, no more records being broken, no more signature moments. Football will move on, like it always does, no matter who leaves the stage. But on this night in Houston, none of that mattered at all, because for 90 unforgettable minutes, one of the sport's greatest legends once again seemed to turn back the clock. The criticism came in, the world paid attention, and Ronaldo responded in the only way he has ever truly needed. Through goals, through passion, through defiance, through greatness. And maybe the most dangerous part for Portugal's opponents isn't just that Ronaldo scored twice. It isn't just the 5-0 scoreline. It isn't even that he became the first player to score in 6 different World Cups. The real danger is something else entirely. For the first time in this tournament, Cristiano Ronaldo looks like he believes again. And when he believes, football history has a way of bending to match it. Maybe this World Cup ends in glory. Maybe it ends in heartbreak. Maybe Portugal go all the way and lift the trophy. Maybe they fall short once again. Nobody can truly know what comes next. But after everything the football world has seen over the last 2 decades, one truth stands out clearly. You should never, ever write off Cristiano Ronaldo, because every time people think his story is finished, he finds another chapter waiting for him. And maybe that's why the 2026 FIFA World Cup now feels like it has a Ronaldo problem. Not because he is still here, but because against all logic, against all expectations, against all odds, Cristiano Ronaldo is back in full force. And if football has taught us anything over the years, it's that the greatest stories are never truly over until the final whistle finally blows. So, don't miss what comes next. Subscribe to Era of 11, like the video, share it with other football fans, and leave a comment telling us what you think will happen next for Ronaldo and Portugal. Join us as we follow every twist, every shock, every legend, and every unforgettable moment of the 2026 FIFA World Cup.